Magandang hapon sa ating lahat, lalong-lalo na sa ating tagapanood. Ang tatalakayin ngayon ay cinematic art. Cinema is derived from the French cinematography, a term coined by Louis and Augustin Lumière to describe the motion picture apparatus they created in 1890. By 1899, the term cinema referred to a whole where motion pictures were shown. Film is derived from the fact that visual and later audio are recorded on a strip of celluloid film coated with high-sensitive material. Movie or motion picture comes from the film's ability to create illusion of movement on the screen. A less popular and less common name is photoplay. Nickelodeon was also terms used from nickel, means five as cents, and Odeon from the Greek Odeon means music hall. But the Nickelodeon was far from being music hall, as these were usually storefront converted to viewing rooms for an audience. The number dependent on the space. Projected image were shown on screen, usually a variety of short film. Some were shots for stage performance. The term eventually narrowed to the nickel jukebox in amusement park. This show machine to flip a stack of printed pictures arranged in circle, and in so doing a moving picture. The price for this amusement park was 5 cents. Cinema was involved in these strands of film, the theater and the documentary.
Tama ka dyan, Mr. Salvador. Ang feature cinema tells fictional or non-fiction, followed many features of theater such as the plot, characters, and when the sound was added to the film, it becomes dialogue. The visual elements already integrated in theater were also used even during silent era of film in sets and costumes. When sound was available, music and dance accompanied by music were also added. Rested on theater, hence, elements of the theater are applicable to the future film. While in documentary, early form was akin to the variety stage show where short clips were strung together by separated captions, begin with the newsreel or as a piece on some exotic place in the world and was shown before the feature film.
In 1987, movies using the French projector were shown in Manila. The early films were novel enough because they could capture and project motion and were moving clips of scenes of Europe, especially Paris in 1927. The sounds came to film and the era of the talkies began. The actor and the actresses who were master of the silence film. Once recorded for the talkies, they had squeaky voice, partly because sounds recording was not perfected and would be a work in progress passing through in highly fidelity stage of stereo with sounds coming from two channel, eventually from 5 or 7 channel until the present day digital sounds.
George Eastman, founder of Eastman Kodak Company, invented the roll film in 1884 to capture images and make moving pictures. A breakthrough was made when sound was converted to a black and clear image called the soundtrack or strip and placed side by side with the picture that was to be projected. As the technology of video and audio recording, editing, sound mixing, projecting, and transmitting became easier and cheaper, filmmakers were able to concentrate on the craft. Because of technology, film added the advantages of being repeatable as often as needed or wanted without physical exhausting actors and being sent in other locations. Feature filmmaking was dominated by large studios such as Metro Goldwyn Mayer, Universal, Warner Brothers, and in animation, Disney in United States. Cinecittà in Italy, Pinewoods in United Kingdom, Shaw Brothers Studio in Hong Kong. In the early years of Philippine cinema, the competing studios were Philippine Film in 1934, Parlaton Hispano-Filipino in 1935, Excelsior Pictures in 1937, Sampaguita in 1937, LVN Pictures 1938, and Exotic Film in 1939.
Susunod na ang tanging sinema mo na makakasama natin sina Mr. Duzon at Mrs. Medina.
Ang tanging sinema mo.
What's up? My name is Raymar Tucson at magandang hapon. Kami na naman po'y nagbabalik at ito ang show na katangi-tangi, ang tanging sinema mo.
At tama ka dyan, Mr. Dusan, and I'm Samantha Medina. Welcome back to our show, Cinematics.
Maring Medina, balita ko isang kapita-pitagang nilalang ang ating guest ngayon.
Ay, totoo yan. Sa totoo lang, siya ang matuturing na best actor in this generation.
Tagalin pa ba natin to? Let's call on Mr. Kasit.
Hello, Mr. Kasin, and welcome to our show, Tanging Sinema Mo.
Wow! Sa wakas, naimbitahan ako sa cinema mo.
Of course, Mr. Alam naman natin na ikaw ay maraming pinagkakaabalahan at maraming salamat at kami ay iyong pinayagan makapanayam ka.
Wala yun. It's my pleasure.
Ating pakinggan ang paliwanag ni Miss Pitita at Mr. Salvador patungkol sa elements of films para sa kaalaman ng ating manonood ngayon.
Magandang hapon muli sa ating lahat. Ang element of films ay may 7 uri at ito ay ang mga sumusunod: literacy element, script, visual element, cinematography, sound element, editing video and audio, and sound editing. Una ay ang literacy element. It includes the concept or ideas about the film, which then lead to the development of the script. Scripts may begin with a storyline, a short narrative, or what the film is all about. For feature film, a script includes character sketches, descriptions of location of the story, plus the background material. From these notes, a scenario script is written where the story is broken into scenes called sequences. Ikalawa ay ang script. It may be an original work written for a particular movie, an adaptation from a literary piece, of a remake of an older film. From the scenario script, the full script is then worked out. The location sequences is indicated, whether indoors or outdoors, as well as notes on the settings, dialogues of characters with acting notations and notations for sound and music. Transitions such as fade-ins and fade-outs are indicated. The script is then interpreted by the director, who guides the actors and the technical crew through a sequence. The actors are said to be on screen or before the camera, while the technical crew is in behind the camera.
Katlo ay visual element. Cover what is visible on screen or inside the frame of a film. Set props and costume to mind immediately. Beside this actor, look, hairdo, prosthetic, or special makeup, the arrangement of props and actor before the camera, and blocking or how actor move through the set are the part of visual design. How actor performed on the screen, especially their spatial experience, mannerism, and movement or performance. Finally, lighting all contribute to the visual design of the films. Ikaapat ay cinematography. Involve the use of camera, how it is placed, the angle in relation to the subject, whether high or low at eye level of the subject, near or far, how the camera moves fanning, and the lens chosen for filming. Panglima, sounds elements. Cover all the sounds component in the film, music, sound effects, ambient, noise, and location. Suggest an area, truth that musical styles. It can also dramatize the dialogue of the actor or actress and contribute to suspense and excitement of the film.
Ang ika-anim naman ay editing video and audio, more on composition of a film rather than to the elements of the film. Editing has to do with the how shots in the film are sequenced. Segments that take place in one location are shot together. Only at the editing stage are they arranged according to the script. The film editor, with the director, makes two important decisions. First, how to sequence or arrange the slots, and second, how long the shots will stay on screen. Transitions also includes in the decisions. Oftentimes, a scene is shot more than once and may involve moving the camera and taking the scene from another angle. During editing, the director decides which of the multiple shots is included in the final cut. When a director is not pleased with a screen or after a review of the film, a director may call for a cure, a short segment that will replace a shot while editing. Sometimes, a cure can be very short, like an actress or actor repeating a short phrase. A cure shot is often taken on location after the director reviews a shoot with the cinematographer. Generally, such drastic measures are avoided at the editing stage because they add to the production cost and lead to delays. At ang panghuli ay sound editing. Involve the balancing of sound recorded live on the set, refining the sound, and working with sound effects and music. An audio bed is usually put in place first. Audio bed refers to the music that runs through a production to help establishing timing. During sound editing, the director may call the actors for a dubbing session. This means repeating their lines while viewing the edited video. Dubbing may be used if sound is not clear, either because of the actress or actor's delivery or technical problems, including loud ambient noise that cannot be edited out or an audio equipment glitch. Dubbing is also applied when film is translated into another language.
Maraming salamat, Ms. Didita and Mr. Salvador. Huwag muna kayong kakalis at baka may mga follow-up questions pa ang ating manonood. Alright, Mr. Cassian, we would like to know kung paano ka ba nag-start sa industry ng cinema?
This is the first time to share my life. Actually, lumaki akong independent sa buhay. To make it short, passion ko ang umarte sa harap ng camera. Sumasali ako ng theater sa mga club noon habang ako'y nag-aaral.
Bro ba? Ano bang... Hindi nga, seryoso lang. Seryoso bro. Hindi, real, diba?
Okay, so this is your passion. Ano naman ang say ng parents mo about this?
Luckily, they are very supportive. Basta't wag ko lang daw pababayaan ang mga academics ko.
You're lucky to have a supportive family, huh?
Maiba naman tayo. Paano ka nakarating sa ganitong kalaking industriya?
Ay, ako kasi gusto kong explore ang mga bagay-bagay. So, may isa akong friend kung saan yung tito niya ay nagtatrabaho sa industry na to. And nung time na yon, nangangailangan sila ng extra for their documentary show. So, I grabbed the opportunity.
And then,
Doon nagsimula. Dahil tong friend ko ay nirecommend ako sa tito niya. His uncle accepted me. At ayun, dumaan ako sa mga trainings at sinama ako sa iba't ibang advertisements, tuak. Hanggang sa isang araw, hindi ko na namamalaya na isa na ako sa mga naiimbitahan as an actor sa mga bigating pelikula.
Sana all.
That's amazing. Talaga kapag passion mo, you will give your heart to succeed.
kung saan yun nga ang ginawa ni Mr. Cassin. Anyways, we are happy to hear that. But all of us has inspiration in life. And we heard that meron ka ng matagal na iniidolong celebrity.
Oh yes! Sobrang idol ko siya. Doon din ako humuhugot ng lakas ng loob to act in front of a camera.
Sino kaya ito? Teka lang mga ka-cinematics. Samahan niyo akong magpaliwanag Mr. Duzon, Mr. Salvador, and Miss Letita.
Mata ko na damay dyan. Pero sige, para sa ating mga cinematics, sa film grammar, tandaan natin ang 4 na S. Single still image, shot, scene, and sequence. Single still image, just as language begins with a letter. So does film with a single still image by itself. The still image may have little or unclear meaning as the image can be led to multiple possibilities. Shot. A shot is a single, continuous recording. It can be likened to a word. Scene. A scene is a series of related shots, and it's like a sentence. Scenes are separated by transitions, which are like punctuations in a sentence. Sequence. A sequence is a series of scenes that portray a major portion of the whole story. It can be likened to a paragraph. Finally, the total composition. Like a short story or a novel, it is edited film. The 4S, single still image, shot, scene, and sequence.
Subject matter and film form. It can be non-fiction as in documentaries or fiction as in feature film. Filipino were involved in film almost from inception and had a dedicated audience who prepared film in Tagalog or Visayas. Film form can be divided into documentary in Philippines, terminological docu and feature.
Docu, primarily informational, it uses shots taken from actual life. For instance, a documentary on dynamite fishing will use footage or fishermen who resort to this destructive method of fishing. Its audio bed is usually an unseen narrator who threads the documentary together. To perk up the docu, reenactments are made using or possibly the people themselves involved in an event. Animation and computer-generated imagery, or CGI, may also be used.
Feature films, they vary upon theater's distinction between drama and comedy. Feature films can be broadly divided into these categories. First, drama films. focuses on conflicts usually involving personal, familial, or social problems. They evoke emotions and sympathy for the beloved protagonist, and often lead the audience to tears. Filipino films, though often end on a happy note, thus the drama usually has happy ending. Serial film, variety of drama, an offshoot of the Hollywood serial. Appears before World War II, the Hollywood serial ended each episode with uncertainty or a cliffhanger. This ending encouraged audiences to return to the movie house week after week, the usual schedule for change of films. In the Philippines, cliffhangers are more commonly manifested in the ratio of television, better known as telenovela. Telenovelas can be melodramatic, that is overly emotional, where the reactions of the actors and actresses are commensurate to the cause and likewise the reaction of fans.
Comedy primarily aims to make the audience laugh. It can be slapstick or romantic. Slapsticks depends on the gags and the quirks of the characters to elicit laughters. Romantic, a love story with moments of laughter, melodrama, music, and song, and dance sequences. A number of actors and actresses are known for comedy, such as Pugo and Tugo, Dolphin Panchito, Tito Vic and Joey, and Delay Atay Atayan. The models for such actors are American duo, such as L'Oreal and Hardy, the trio of the Three Stooges, and the quintessential British comedian, Charlie Chaplin, imitated by the Philippine version, Kanuplin.
Action, from the English action, always called bakbakan. Films filled with fight scenes, usually hand-to-hand. They may be fictional, based on the folk tales in the comic books, or based on the true-to-life stories. For instance, Nardong Putik, Kilabot ng Cavite, 1972, was based on the life Leonardo Manesio, also known as Cavite Robin Hood. Hostage, Hanapin si Batugas, 1977, based on the reported brother Batugas who negotiated for the release of the family held hostage by goons. Action easily led to fantasy, as the popular Ang Panday series starring Fernando Poe Jr. and later his successor, Ramon Bong Revillame Jr.
Fantasy happens in imaginary world in the past of the future because of the connections of films to literature. The fantasy world of the Spanish era, corrido and awit or metrical romance became a source for movie storylines. Ibong Adarna, Siete Infantes de Lara, and Florante at Laura were made into film. Mythical characters like Bernardo Carpio and creatures like mermaid, as in Mars Ravelo Jezebel, were adapted into film. People's Picture Ex Jur in 1956 and LVN's Zarex 1958 were pioneer science fantasies. The class of superheroes popularized rather by American comics had Filipino iterations in movie such as Darna in 1951, Kapitan Kidlat in 1953, Zoom Zoom Superman in 1973, and Captain Barbell in 1986.
Historical films based on historical events and real people. A number of movies depicting the lives of Filipino heroes were already produced. Tandang Sora in 1947, Diego Silang in 1951, and Dagohoy in 1953. It is a type of historical movies in the biopic which traces the life of a person or significant period in that person's life. like Ignacio de Loyola, soldier, singer, saint in 2016, which narrates the life of a vast noble from the town of Loyola, who after life-threatening wound at battle in Pampanga experienced a conversion.
Period movies refers to films, historical or fictional, whose setting is usually in the past. Settings, costumes, props, and manners of bygone era are recreated. Futuristic movies are classified as science fantasy or science fiction.
Associated with historical narratives, the term epic is applied to the quality of movie, which employs large sets, elaborate costumes, and a cast of thousand or an apparent thousand generated through CGI. While the movie might be about the life of a family, Peque Galiaga's Oro Plata Mata in 1982 can be loosely called epic.
Horror. Seek to invoke fear and terror in the viewer. It is movie about vampires, ghosts, elves, monsters, and preternatural creature of Philippine mythology whose stories are passed on orally and informally. Creature like Manananggal, Duende, Tikbalang, and Kapre are subject of horror. Classic horror film have spawned a whole industry of sequels and prequels. Suma 1985 and Anak ni Suma 1986. Regal Films All Times Entry in December Metro Manila Film Festival. Shake and Rattle and Roll had its first version in 1984. Since then, Shake and Rattle and Roll turned into the film series with 15 installments.
Musical films feature romantic comedy with song and dance number. Four kinds of Philippine musical are known. The film Zarzuela, drawn directly from the stage Zarzuela, as in Walang Sugat in 1939. The Hollywood-type musical with American or Broadway influence rather, such as The Big Broadcast in 1962. In the example of Kakaba in 1980, Filipino absurdist humor is highlighted. Pabling in 1981 uses original Filipino music or OPM, and Ang Larawan in 2017 as originally music by Maestro Ryan Cayabyab.
Animation. Movies are made with illustration or inanimate objects brought to life using animation techniques. There are many techniques of animation using handmade illustrations, cutout animation, model, and live animation. Clay animation is a type of stop-motion animation. Was popularized in Philippine televisions by the clay figure Gumby and his horse. In 1955, Jose Zabala Santos and Francisco Reyes did a 6-minute animation of Juan Tamad. Nonay Marcelo did an animation of Biag Ti Lam-ang in 1979, and earlier an animation sequence was added to Ani Batong Bakal in 1979, starring Nora Honor. Animation has been used for special effects and full-length animation has been tried in Animasia's Ibong Adarna in 1997. The work of the Filipino is invisible since the work is done for foreign companies such as Japan's Toho and Disney and Pixar in the US. Animation companies do the in-betweeners, the illustration between one point in an animation to another that allows the figures to appear to move. Worldwide animation using CGI has replaced handmade illustration except in few cases. Hayao Miyazaki's studio, Ghibli, which uses the mythical creature Totoro as mascot, has been holding on the hand illustrated animation.
Bomba films depict nudity and sex and have been castigated as soft porn. It is distinguished from the pelikula, a portmanteau of penetration and pelikula, or X-rated hardcore pornography films shown clandestinely or now through DVD. Bomba has been called bold, wet loot, or sex trip. Plots are generally shallow. A poor excuse to show nude and semi-nude women. Men's bodies are not as exposed as women's and are nude only when engaged in sex. The heyday of Bomba was just before the martial law crackdown on such films in 1972 but in 1982. After the experimental theater cinema of the Philippines, ETCP, which is under of Aimee Marcos, did not receive government subsidy. It capitalized on its exemption from censorship by exhibiting bold, artistic movies at the Manila Film Center. Movies such as Isla in 1984, Boatman in 1984 as well, and Scorpio Nights in 1985 were made during this time. And alternative indie from independent and experimental films break through conventional barriers, types, stories, and techniques of movie making. They are produced by small outfits independent of big studios and are an alternative to productions of mainstream studios. Roles are updated theater actors or amateurs and new talents, not the stars of a movie studio. Experimental techniques in camera shots and movements are employed in this film.
Technical consideration: analog technology in film refers to physical film strips of light-sensitive celluloid that are developed chemically and then edited by the cut and paste method, which literally involves cutting the film strip and sticking it to another strip using an adhesive called splicing. In digital era, hardware and software go together to open more possibilities. Digital hardware and software address many needs in professional editing, namely asset management, audio recording, editing and mixing, enhancement, broadcasting, and quality assurance software.
Video making and filmmaking. This is brief over of the technological possibilities and challenges of filmmaking as non-professional, with reference to professional work while is the called filmmaking. In the digital era, the film strip is no longer used for more common in the use of digital video equipment, whether dedicated handheld video cameras or camera in the mobile phones. The technology of the image capture the storage is different from the film camera because what is stored in the digital camera are binary codes that can be replayed as image.
Lighting, natural or artificial, an essential element of filmmaking. Without light, no image can be captured on film. Various techniques in lighting are applied to create an effect or atmosphere.
Cameras used to record a film. Analog camera, camera that uses a film strip to record an image. Digital camera uses a CCD or the charge-coupled device, an integrated circuit in a silicon matrix where light-sensitive elements called pixels generated a charge from protons or particles of light hitting in the surface. The lens aperture controls the amount of light that is recorded digitally. The aperture is increased or decreased by a device called the diaphragm. It consisted of a lens system and a prism that bounds the light coming into the camera to the eyepiece.
Language of camera consists of camera shots, camera movement, camera angles, and rules of framing. Some common camera shots are extremely wide shots or establishing shot, very wide shot or long full shot, medium shot or mid shot, close, close up shot, medium close up shot, extreme close up shot, point of view shot. Camera angles refers to how many an image is composed and the point of view from which shot is taken. Eye level shots refer to those taken at the eye level of cinematographer directing the shot. The eye level angle captures what we see when standing up and straight forward. High angle are taken from point of view above the subject being taken. Bird's eye view, such as taken from extremely high angle. Worm's eye view contrasts the bird's eye view. The former shows taken at almost floor level. The slanted angle has the horizon at an angle not straight or flat is as usual. Dutch tilt or Dutch angle is a camera shot where the angle is tilted extremely to one side. It is known as German, oblique, canted, or Batman angle.
Camera movement. Cameras do not remain static in filmmaking. They move. Panning involves moving the camera sideways from left to right or vice versa. Zoom makes an image appear nearer or farther from the camera. This is achieved using special zoom lens. Tracking involves following the subject being filmed. This is done by mounting the camera on a platform that runs on a rail or by mounting it on a vehicle. Vehicle-mounted cameras are used for chase scenes usually found in action films, as in the Bourne Identity franchise in 2002 to 2006. The extreme wide shot may move from a low angle to high one and vice versa. This is done using a dolly, which is a camera mounted on a crane, or now by using a drone. Rule of framing. A shot is not taken at random by just pointing at a subject. A shot is composed or framed to get a satisfactory image. The rule of third is a concept in video and film where a frame is divided into 9 imaginary sections, creating reference points that guide in framing an image.
Editing. In the analog era, where film was shot using the film strip or large roll of film, video and audio editing took the step of cutting a strip of film physically with scissors, then splicing or sticking the film together with an adhesive. There is a whole range of digital video editing software, from the freeware to iMovie that comes as bundled software with some devices. To the semi-professional or professional, digital software is a constantly upgraded, and older software has been discontinued or is no longer supported by the newer devices. Whatever the software programs used, film editing has 5 simple steps. Number 1. Import footage or digitalize video from the camera to the computer. Number 2. Create a sequence by dragging the desired clips to the timeline. Adjust clip length when needed. Once the clips are in the place, work on the transitions between them. Fade out, fade in, and fade to the black are some of the transitions effects that may be used. Be careful not to add too many transition effects as they can be distracting. Number 3. Add adjust the audio elements, the music, ambient sound, and the special effects. Number 4. Save the edited video and add title. Number 5. The video may also be exported to the internet using a preferred platform.
Filmmaking phases. Filmmaking has three phases: pre-production, preparation phase, production, actual shooting, and post-production involve editing both the video and the audio content of the film.
The filmmaking team in preparing for a shoot, the concept, script, and general visual and auditorial design are discussed. The team of scriptwriter, director, designer, and cinematographer are assembled headed by the producer, who may appoint an executive producer. As the designs are generated, they are evaluated and approved. Once approved, sets, props, and costumes are made. Production assistants scout for talents and location through auditions. Producers are the person responsible for getting the project started, often the financier of the film, but may also invite and organize other parties to finance the film project. They work with marketing and creative. Marketing is responsible for advertising and promoting the film to ensure audience. Creatives are personnel who ensure the film is done and completed on time, with little loss of time and within the project budget. These duties are fulfilled by following. Executive producer represents the producer and oversees the production of the film. He or she protects the investment of the producer. Creatives report to the executive producer.
Director, the main creative person who manages the work of the scriptwriter, actors and actresses, and technical crew. He or she also approves the design of the film and works with the audio and video editors for the final look of the film. Cinematographer, responsible for creating the look that a director wants. Script writer, responsible for writing the script, which is the guideline for making the film. Best boy, the Hollywood term for the person in charge of lighting and grip. Costumes, props, makeup, and special effects crew are in charge of making sure that the actor and the sets are ready to shoot. Production assistant are all around on-hands assistants who help the creative, the actors, and the crew. Actors, actresses, and the extras are the people before the camera. They appeared on the screen. They influence the viability of a film as a creative work and as a financial venture. Thus, actors and actresses are dealt with separately because there is a whole industry of talent management.
That's long. Anyways, I guess our cinematics viewers want to know that. So let us show some clips where our Mr. Cousin favorite.
May ipagtatapat ako sa inyo. Walang himala! Ang himala ay nasa puso ng tao! Nasa puso nating lahat! Tayo ang gumagawa ng himala! Tayo ang gumagawa ng mga sumpa ng mga Diyos!
Yeah, you are all right. Sa inyong nakita, sino ba namang hindi nakakakilala sa isang mahusay na si Miss Nora Honor?
Well, that's wonderful to know that the Philippine cinema superstar ang iniidol ni Mr. Casin.
Para mas lalo pa nating malaman kung ano ang mga pelikulang iyan, pinalabas noong 1982. Ang Himala ni na Ishmael Bernal at Ricardo Lee ay isa sa pinakatanyag na pelikula sa Pilipinas. Pinangungunahan ng mga sikat na artistang si Nora Honor, ang Himala ay isa sa kilala sa kakaiba nitong kwento kumpara sa madalas na pelikulang Pilipino.
Tama, at bukod doon, ang kwentong Himala ay tumutukoy sa isang dalagang si Elsa na pinampanan ni Nora Honor. Si Elsa ay isang dalagang nagsabi na ang Birheng Maria ay nagpakita at kumausap sa kanya. Ito daw ay nagsabi na siya ay magkakaroon ng kakayahang magpagaling ng ibang tao at nang lumipas ang ilang araw, ang kakayahang ito ay napamahagi nga sa kanya at siya ay sumikat.
At dahil sa tayo ay pinagbigyan ni Mr. Casin, baka naman maaaring magsample ng acting skills mula sa katanyag na linya ni Miss Nora Honor sa pelikulang Himala.
I know that will happen. Knowing your show, hindi naman mawawala ang pag-acting. But anyway, sure since bata pa lang ako kabisado ko na yan. Walang himala! Ang himala ay nasa puso ng tao. Nasa puso nating lahat. Tayo ang gumagawa ng himala. Tayo ang gumagawa ng sumpa at ng mga Diyos.
Ang galing! Ang galing!
Another applause to that, huh? Hindi katakatakang isa ka rin sa mga hinahangaan ng maraming tao.
Maraming salamat.
Okay, so before this ends, hindi rin mawawala ang fast talk. Ang talk kung saan may matututunan. Handa ka na ba, Mr. Casin?
I think so.
It will be very easy for you since this is a cinema show. The questions is all about cinema as well.
Na dapat mong masagot within 40 seconds. You need to be fast. Let's begin.
This is one of the film forms that dwells on personal and serious subject.
Oh, that's drama.
Cinema is derived from the French.
Cinematography.
Next, maybe an original work written for a particular movie.
That's script.
Okay, last two questions. Primary informational and user shots taken from real life.
That's where I was discovered. It's documentary.
Okay, for the last question. These are the people before camera and appear on screen.
Oh, that's like me. An actor or actress and extras.
And the time is up. Wow, you knew that, huh? Thank you, Mr. Casin.
It's already time. Mr. Casin, we are pleasure to have you here. See you next time. Hinahangaan ka namin.
Salamat din. My pleasure as well.
That concludes our show cinematics. See you again sa
Ang tanging sinema mo.
Ang tanging sinema mo.